What is up, English 10 students? Mr. Puckett here, coming at you with another fire Macbeth recap video. Be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Why would you do that? Hey, let's talk about Act 4, and let's get to the important stuff here in our abridged version of Macbeth. I've noticed a few students, by the way, finding these on YouTubes. On the YouTubes that are not in my class. I want to make you aware. I'm going over the most important stuff in our own shortened, abridged version of the text. It skips over some things. It has a few scenes cut out. It has some non-important lines or non-plot heavy lines cut out. I just want to make you aware of that. But for my students, let's talk about this. Act 4, just to recap a little bit here. At the end of Act 5, Macbeth is in a bad place. He is, as I've mentioned before, he's a dynamic character. He is changing as the play goes on. And the change he is making is from a good man, a morally good man who is loyal and does the right thing, to an evil man whose ambition has changed him into something completely unrecognizable. And in Act 3, he committed some more murders. As we've talked about in my class, whenever you tell a lie and you have to tell 4 or 5 more lies just to cover up that lie, murders are the same way in this play. Macbeth does one murder, but then now it's led to 2 more. And then in Act 3, he has Banquo and has Banquo killed and tries to have his own son, not his own son, Banquo's son, Fleance killed, because remember, Banquo's children will be kings. Well, now Act 4 finds Macbeth acting upon his urges to go to the witches and get more information about his future. He goes to them, and we see some iconic lines from these witches, things that are in pop culture about witchcraft all over the place. Double, double, toil and trouble. Of course, the image of witches standing around a cauldron throwing things in is partly coming from this inspiration. The very important, or the very famous line, by the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes, all come from this scene. The witches are standing around this cauldron. They are making some kind of unnamed potion, and they're putting in a lot of really gross and bad stuff. Eye of newt, tongue of dog, standard witchcraft ingredients, but then also they get to parts of animals, a tiger's chaudron, whatever that is, baboon's blood. There's even things we've cut out from here that are racist, anti-Semitic. In general, all this stuff is there to establish the witches as purely evil characters. They are bad news. And these evil characters, when they sense Macbeth coming, say, something wicked this way comes. That shows you where Macbeth is in his journey right now. He's tilting the scales towards evil at this point. Notice also the difference in the way he comes in. Macbeth walks in and he says, "How now, you secret black and midnight hags?" Remember, the first time he saw the witches, he was speechless. He was afraid to talk until they started to leave. Now he's like, "Hey, what's up, witches? I'm here. Give me some information." He asks them, they tell it, they say they do a deed without a name. He asks for information about his future, and they say, "We'll show you. Would you rather hear it from us or from our masters, from the spirits that command us?" He says, "Call him. Let me see him," because he wants to show that he's not afraid anymore. The information he gets about his future comes from 3 apparitions, 3 ghosts or spirits in strange forms. And, think of every movie where someone finds out information about their future. Almost always that information about their future is accurate, but usually it's accurate in some weird or unexpected way. It's meant to be misleading. Otherwise, it's kind of anticlimactic for the story. And the same is true here. Macbeth gets 3 apparitions. The first is an armed head. And when I first read this as a young child of 16, I pictured a head with an arm coming out of it because I was a strange person. Really what this is a head with armor, or otherwise known as a helmet. It's a helmeted head that rises out of the cauldron. And it says, "Beware Macduff, beware the Thane of Fife." And Macbeth is like, I already knew that. I was already afraid of Macduff. Then the second apparition is a bloody child. This is a baby covered in blood, and it says, be bloody, bold, and resolute, laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born may harm Macbeth." And Macbeth takes this as an absolute win. This is him saying, I might as well be invincible because everyone is born of woman. Every man comes from a woman in some way, shape, or form. Therefore, I'm good. No one can kill me. I mean, he is forgetting one important thing, which is bears. Bears are not born from women, and bears can climb faster than they can run. However, he's forgetting it. Finally, the third apparition is a child wearing a crown and holding a tree in his hand. And this child pops up and say, take no care who chafes, who frets, or where conspirers are. Macbeth shall never vanquished be until great Birnam Wood come to high Dunsinane Hill against him. Little quick geography lesson. Birnam Wood is a forest in Scotland. Birnam Wood is about 12 miles away from Dunsinane Hill, which is the place where Macbeth's castle at Forres was. And so a forest that's 12 miles away, they tell him you'll never be defeated until this forest comes to this hill 12 miles away. And it's like, forests don't move. Unless Treebeard and his friends are getting involved. Shout out to my Lord of the Rings dorks out there. I'm fine. Forests grow slowly, and I'm not going to be defeated then. He takes this again as an absolute win. Finally, Macbeth asks one more thing. He can't help himself. He says, will Banquo's children ever be kings in this land? And the witches try to warn him off, but he says, no, I need to know. And so 8 kings walk out. And, in Shakespeare's day, 8 actors who look like Banquo wearing crowns would walk out. And the last one holds a mirror and making it look like the line keeps going on and on. And so Macbeth sees this and he freaks out and he's like, oh my gosh, there's a line of kings forever. Well, that's future Macbeth's problem. And he goes off and he decides he's going to have, once the witches disappear, he declares, okay, he finds out, by the way, that Macduff has gone to England to get Malcolm, Duncan's son, the once Prince of Cumberland, to come back with an army and defeat Macbeth. And so he finds that out and he goes, okay, well, I'm going to send people to his castle and kill his wife and all of his children and everyone in his family. It's no big deal. Again, we see Macbeth's descent into more and more murder, more and more evil. Now he's ordering child murder in the multiples. And by the way, has this man ever seen a John Wick movie? Honestly, if someone is out to kill you, why would you kill their entire family? That's not going to stop them. It's going to make them want to kill you more. You might as well kill their puppy while they're at it. Anyways, that leads us to scene 2, which takes place at Macduff's castle. Lady Macduff is there. She has a clever back and forth with her son. A messenger comes in and says, hey, people are coming to kill you right now. Get out of here. And like every Shakespeare character ever, she takes the time to give her own little soliloquy here about how she's done nothing wrong, but on Earth that doesn't matter anymore, and blah blah blah, state of society and whatnot. And while she's soliloquying, 3 murderers walk in. She's like, her son calls one of them a shag-eared villain. He calls his son an egg. He says, "What, you egg?" which is my favorite murder line in any Shakespeare play. Stabs him. The son, of course, gets one line as he dies because he's a Shakespeare character. "He has killed me, mother. Run away, I pray you." And then he dies. And the mother runs off. And all of Macduff's family is murdered in this scene. We cut this. There's one more scene in here that we cut out because I've never found it very important to read it word for word. But I'll talk about what's important about it. It takes place in England in the court of Edward the Confessor, who is the King of England at this time. Malcolm is there, if you remember. And Macduff finally finds him. And he tries to lure him back to Scotland. He's like, "You need to come back and help me." And Malcolm has... Here's the thing. During all this time, Macbeth has been sending spies to lure Malcolm into traps to kill him. So Malcolm has come up with a way to find out if someone is a spy or not, which is to say, okay, you say... this is what Malcolm would say. Well, you say I am better than Macbeth. You want me to replace him because you want a good king. What if I told you I'm worse than Macbeth? He tells them that he's way worse. And then after he tells them and convinces them he's worse than Macbeth, if the person is still like, yeah, still come, be king, well, he knows now that's a spy because they don't care about having a better king. And if they go, "Oh, you are worse, never mind, you stay here, you're not fit to live even," then he knows they're telling the truth and they really want a good king, and he tells them the truth and comes with them. He does this, and Macduff predictably is like, yeah, you're terrible. I don't want you anymore. I'm leaving. I don't know what I'm going to do. And Malcolm goes, no, wait, actually, I was lying. I'm actually pretty great. And Macduff's like, oh, God. Oh, thank goodness, because I didn't know what I was going to do. Great, cool, come back. And while this is happening, Ross shows up, our glorified messenger. Ross is a Thane, by the way. Why is he running these messages everywhere? What is your deal, Ross? Don't you have your own land? Anyways, he comes with a message to Macduff. His whole family has been killed. And Macduff is obviously distraught. He's very upset. And Malcolm tells him, let us answer this like men. Remember, one of the themes of this play is what makes a man? What does a man do? How does a man act? And Malcolm's idea of answering this, Malcolm's idea of what a man does is a man answers force with force. A man defends and gets revenge for his family, because that's what Malcolm wants to do, right? He wants to kill Macbeth for revenge for killing his father. Macduff, however, is a modern man. He's a progressive man. He says, yes, I will do that. But first, I have to feel this like a man. And he has this very emotional scene where he breaks down and he weeps over his wife and his babies and his children. And it's very touching. And this is 400 years ago, and we still have a problem in modern society with men feeling comfortable crying and being upset. So, like, Shakespeare's trying to tell us this is a commentary on society that still rings true today. Anyways, they set off. We're going to go kill Macbeth, and they have an army from Edward the Confessor at their back, and we are set for Act 5 with war coming to Scotland. Anyway, that's the major important parts of Act 4. Hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you for the thrilling conclusion of The Tragedy of Macbeth. See ya.